Never be afraid to trust an unknown future to a known God. We are Pedro and Stephanie Garcia, and 15 years ago our family set foot into an unknown future. In 2002, we were sent out by our home church, the First Baptist Church of Lapeer, Michigan, to serve as ABW missionaries to the country of Chile. 10 years ago, in August 2007, we set foot in the country that would become our home.
Chile is truly a land of contrasts, from icy glaciers in the south to searing dry deserts in the north, with fertile green valleys in between. Its natural beauty is breathtaking. Santiago, Chile's capital, is home to over 7 million people and quickly growing with immigration from many countries, including most recently the country of Haiti. This slender nation is grappling with the growing pains of change in its population and policies. The ripple effects of the current socialist government are felt throughout the nation, including the city of Iquique, where we live and serve. Located 24 hours north of the capital by car, Iquique is proudly known by the nickname Tierra de Campeones, or Land of Champions. Situated in the Atacama Desert region between the Pacific Ocean to the west and the Andes Mountains to the east, Iquique is the hub of a free trade zone known as the Zona Franca, or SOFRI. Because of this, the city is also home to immigrants from a multitude of nations, including neighboring Peru, Bolivia, Ecuador, Argentina, Paraguay, Brazil, and Colombia, but also faraway countries such as Taiwan, Canada, India, Pakistan, Korea, China, Nepal, Australia, Haiti, and the United States. It is truly an international mission field.
During our family's first term of service in Iquique, God gave us the privilege of serving in the Iglesia Bautista Misionera, or Missionary Baptist Church. It was a joy to participate alongside missionary teammates in ministries both inside and outside the church walls. As we grew to know our city, we observed deep spiritual needs around us. In particular, we saw how the Chilean mining industry divided families and how drugs smuggled from neighboring countries destroyed lives. The need for the gospel to penetrate patterns of marital unfaithfulness, parental neglect, teenage turmoil, and cycles of abuse became ever more evident.
Our desire grew to plant a pregnancy and family counseling center in Iquique, but the realization of that desire seemed far in the future as we returned to the United States for our first furlough in the year 2012. Tragically, our furlough ended with the devastating news of the death of a colleague's daughter, and we returned to a broken and hurting church in Chile and the temporary loss of 3 missionary families, leaving us alone to continue the work for a time. Dreams of new ministries seemed more distant than ever as we struggled to carry the load.
Yet to God be the glory, the story did not end there. In Matthew 19:26, we read these words, "But Jesus looked at them and said, 'With man this is impossible, but with God all things are possible.'" What began as a daunting term ended with dramatic blessings from God. Once again, we took steps into an unknown future and found the faithfulness of our known God. In February 2014, a group of ladies from the Iglesia Bautista Misionera accompanied Stephanie to a pro-life training conference in Lima, Peru. They returned challenged and inspired by a ministry entirely new to them, but for which they recognized as a tremendous need. For 2.5 years, these faithful women trained for a ministry sight unseen until, by God's grace and the generous giving of His people, the Florece Prenatal and Family Counseling Center opened its doors on October 1st, 2017. Florece means to blossom in Spanish, and that is exactly what has happened.
God truly moved mountains to provide a location we could initially rent and renovate for the purposes of the center. Located in the heart of downtown Iquique, almost every city bus passes directly in front of Florece's entrance. Multiple schools are located within a few blocks walking distance from the center. In just the first 7 months of ministry, Florece received 47 new clients with a total of 121 new and returning visits, 20 pregnancy tests, 2 babies born, 36 maternity classes, 16 Bible studies, 114 spiritual conversations, and 38 gospel presentations. To our knowledge, Florece is the first Christian crisis pregnancy center in the entire country of Chile. In God's sovereign timing, Florece opened just as the current Chilean president succeeded in her efforts to advance the legalization of abortion in Chile. However, there is also a long and painful history of hidden abortion and many wounded women who need the healing hope of the gospel. Please pray that this brand new ministry will multiply and reach many lives, both born and unborn, for eternity.
With God, all things are possible, and we saw his hand at work in the ministry of the Iglesia Bautista Misionera as well. In January of 2016, Pastor Cristian Alarcón became the permanent Chilean pastor of this congregation. We praise God for bringing a uniquely qualified and dedicated family from Santiago to Iquique with a commitment to serve this church, which will always hold a special place in our hearts. As we look behind us, we see the faithfulness of God and of his people, including the many churches and individuals in the United States who pray and give so that our family may serve in Iquique as an extension of your ministries. Thank you for your generosity and care. As we look ahead, we see the dream of starting a sister church in an unreached area of Iquique and of growing the ministry of Florece with the purchase of our existing building. We are also praying for a full-time Spanish-speaking biblical counselor. Would you consider partnering with us to this end? 15 years ago, we stepped into an unknown future. Today, we give glory to our known God, a God for whom nothing is impossible.